Let's talk about the Green Bay Packers. So let's start with their 2022 offensive stats, their team stats. They're 17th in yards per game, 17th in passing yards per game, 15th in rushing yards per game, and 14th in points per game. So they were in the middle of the road all season when it comes to team stats, and it shows when you watch the team. Obviously, they didn't make the playoffs. They had their terrible games. They had their really good games, and so it's going to be interesting now. No more Aaron Rodgers. It's all Jordan Love now. And so let's kind of talk about this team and have the Packers done enough to possibly put around Jordan Love? And can Jordan Love be the next quarterback that, for the Packers go for 10 plus years and possibly be a Hall of Famer? First of all, let me just get that. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think he'll be another Aaron Rodgers, Brett Favre. I don't think it's going to go for another decade. But I'm a fan of Jordan Love. He was drafted in the first round for a reason. I think he can be a franchise quarterback. I'm not saying he'll be a top 10 quarterback, but a guy who could lead this team for probably about, he could lead him for like another contract. So he gets a 3-year deal after this or whatever. I think he can, and I think he can take this team to the playoffs if they just surround him with better talent. And hopefully this team just overall gets better. I don't think this team will win the division, just a spoiler out there, but this team definitely has a projection, and I see it, but also at the same time, I don't. You look at everything else around Jordan Love with Aaron Jones, who had last year 1,000 yards. He had 2 touchdowns only on the ground, but I know he had more in the air. One of the best running backs in the league. I think he's a top 10 running back. He's a great receiving back. He can definitely run a lot of routes for you. And I think this is the strongest part about their offense is their running back game. Is their rushing, ability is obviously for Aaron Jones, but also you have A.J. Dillon, who is a more of a ground and pound running back who can catch passes, but most part he's going to be getting the carries and short distance plays, 4th and 2, 3rd and 2, goal line. But definitely, if you need him to run for a drive, he can do that. He can go through a full drive almost and get down to the touchdown to the end zone. So I'm really excited for this running back group. It should be good like they've been. And then you go to the receiving side of it. The receivers, the tight ends. It's not good. It's not good. I like Christian Watson. I think he's a good wide receiver. Jayden Reed, a good wide receiver. But none of these guys I think are game changers, and that's what you need. You really do need a game changer. A guy who can be possibly a top 10, 15, 20 wide receiver in the league. And I think Christian Watson can be that. But after that, it's like, okay, Jayden Reed's nice. He's got some speed. He might beat you on a go route. But he's more of a wide receiver 3, in my opinion. You got Romeo Dubs, who is probably a wide receiver 4. Same thing with Samari Toure and Dontavian Wicks. And I hate it. I hate that the Packers keep doing this. They should just draft a wide receiver in the first round. Imagine you could have got JSN, Quentin Johnston, Jordan Addison, or Zay Flowers, who would have immensely helped out your receiving core. And they just didn't do it. Now they got Jayden Reed in the second round, maybe a little too early for me, but obviously they went ahead and they got the 2 other tight ends, Luke Musgrave and Tucker Kraft, which I think is fine. I like the strategy of going 2 tight ends. You saw it with the Ravens of Mark Andrews and was it Hayden Hurst, I think. So I respect it. They do use their tight ends, and we should definitely see both of these guys on the field ASAP. These guys are going to be starting from day one. And we'll see if that helps out Jordan Love, which it should. I think they're both 2 great tight ends from this draft class, and obviously in a strong draft class of tight ends. It makes sense to go for 2. It really does, and I understand that vision. But receiver-wise, I'm not there yet. I think this draft class, in my opinion, could have been a lot better. Say they went JSN or any of the wide receivers with their first pick, and then they got Hendon Hooker, not Hendon Hooker, but if they got Brian Branch in the second round, which they definitely could have got Brian Branch, but they didn't, unfortunately. And then you get the 2 tight ends. I think you're looking at a really good receiving core, but we'll see. I hope they do it next year because they got to do something more than just drafting receivers in the second round to help out Jordan Love. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Jayden Reed turns into a top 10 running back or top 10 wide receiver, top 15 wide receiver, but I just don't know if he will. And I think they got to do more for Jordan Love's sake. I'm a fan of Christian Watson. He had a heck of a rookie season, but he had his downs. Obviously, like the first play of the year or whatever it was, he dropped that pass. Then he had that really good game against the Dallas Cowboys. So he's shown that he can be a really good player, and I think he will. I just don't think you got to have more than Christian Watson, and I'll say that. So we'll see what happens, and we'll see what the Packers have planned for that receiving core, and then you got the offensive line, which I'm a big fan of when healthy. You got David Bakhtiari, one of the best left tackles when healthy. Elton Jenkins had some injury issues. I like Josh Myers. I'm not too sure about this right side of John Runyon and Zach Tom. Zach Tom coming into his second year in the NFL. We'll see. We'll definitely see. But this isn't a bad offensive line. I think, I'd be pretty satisfied if I was putting my rookie quarterback in year one behind this offensive line. Obviously, he's not a rookie, but at this point, he's pretty much a rookie. He's pretty much a rookie. So, again, I'm excited for that. Again, if David Bakhtiari can stay healthy, that's really going to be good for his blind side. Really going to be good with David Bakhtiari, Elton Jenkins. I think Josh Myers is a fine center. But again, that right side is the problem. Not the problem, but just I have a few questions. But not saying they can be bad. Just, the left side's a lot better than the right side. I'll say that. I will say that. So I'm excited for this offensive line. Again, I'm excited for this offense. This can be a dynamic offense. It really all depends on Jordan Love. And I don't know if he'll be the franchise quarterback. I think he has potential to be the franchise quarterback. But it sucks for him because it's really a make or break year, possibly. Depending on where they draft, they could be finding their next quarterback. Now, I'm not saying they're going to get Caleb Williams or Drake May, but if they really like one of these other quarterbacks that could be at the 10th pick or 11th pick or whatever, maybe they go after him. But it's gonna be a tough year for Jordan Love, but I think he can handle it. Let's go to this defense of the Green Bay Packers. Looking at 2022. They were 17th in allowed yards per game, 6th in allowed passing yards per game, 25th in allowed rushing yards, and 17th in allowed points per game. This defense was not that good last year, and it definitely showed. You got some good players, and I think this defense got better. Not extremely better. I don't think they'll be like 25th for rushing yards, but I think I could see them in the middle of the pack again with this defense. And again, it's not the best. It's not the worst, if we're being completely honest. So, again, middle of the pack would make a ton of sense for this Packers defense. So, again, yeah, I'm excited for that, for them to possibly just improve. But you look at this secondary, which, again, I have questions, and they're kind of like the same thing for me with the Chicago Bears, is that they got great starters. Amazing starters. Jair Alexander, one of the best cornerbacks in the league. I like Rasul Douglas. I like Eric Stokes. Darnell Savage is a great safety. Rudy Ford. But after that, who else do they have? If we're being completely honest. Wish they would have made more moves as some good depth pieces. I'm not, again, if one or two guys go injured, get down, what does that look like? Who's the next guy up and how well did they perform? And again, if they don't perform well, this could go badly. Everything could go on a spiral downhill. So, again, same thing with when it comes to the Bears with their secondary. I like the starters. I really do. But the depth pieces are not that good. And one thing I've always said is you can never have too many cornerbacks. You can never have too many safeties. If you got good safeties and you got good backups, I'm happy. That's definitely one of the positions where I want to make sure that we have really good cornerbacks anywhere. If somebody gets injured, someone else can come in and we wouldn't have to worry that much. I don't know if that's to say. I don't know if I can say that for the Green Bay Packers. You look at the front seven now. You got Preston Smith. You got Rashawn Gary, Quay Walker, Kingsley Enagbare at linebackers, who I'm just like, they're good. I like Rashawn Gary. I like Preston Smith. They're two good guys, outside linebackers, who are going to come off the edge. Quay Walker in the middle of the field, it's not good. Not good. Especially with the first round pick, it was not good. You wasted Devontae Adams' pick, I think, on Quay Walker. It may have been Devontae White. I'm not too sure, but yeah, no. I don't know what it's to say, but Quay Walker did not have a good season last year. And if I'm not mistaken, he was the one that pushed that one medical person versus the Lions. It wasn't last week of the season, but it was in the middle of the season. I'm pretty sure that was Quay Walker. But yeah, he has to chill out a little bit there. He can be a good linebacker. I think that he might not be worth that first round pick. Then you look at the defensive line. They got Kenny Clark, who is one of the best interior defensive linemen in the league. Absolutely amazing, but interior wise, when it comes to the Green Bay Packers, they got nobody else. The next best guy is probably Lucas Van Ness, but he's probably going to be coming off the edge. He's a tweener. I'm not really the biggest fan of the word tweener, but he's going to be a guy that can play on the outside, on the edge, come and attack the tackle. But you can also play him on the inside with his size and his power. and I think that can be a viable option when it comes to interior wise. But after that, it's really nobody else interior wise. But we'll see. Also drafted Carl Brooks, edge rusher. TJ Slayton was, I think, another projected interior offensive line to be starting. So not that good. And then he also drafted Devontae White, which in theory should be that next, the other starter next to Kenny Clark. But it's not. He's not. And it's pretty disappointing that, again, he was also, I believe, the other first round pick. You drafted the wrong Georgia players. And I find that funny, but not the dog on Quay Walker and Devontae White that much. This defensive line should be better coming off the edge. Obviously Preston Smith and Rashawn Gary should definitely help that. But again, like I said, I think they will be better in allowing less rushing yards per game. But I don't think it's still going to be. I don't think it's going to be that good. And I think the biggest piece of this is Lucas Van Ness. And I actually projected them to actually draft him in my mock draft. But again, a guy who can play in the inside, who can be definitely very effective inside. A guy who can play in the outside, definitely can be effective outside. And so he's going to go between those, few spots. But how, with Preston Smith or Rashawn Gary, what's the long-term future with some of them? Mainly Preston Smith. I know Rashawn Gary's still pretty young. He was drafted, 2019. So, he's young. I think he just signed a contract. I could be wrong, though. Preston Smith, he's getting up there in age. Will he be gone? And Lucas Van Ness becomes a primary outside guy. Again, a lot of questions. A decent front seven, a decent defense. I just don't know how good it's going to be. I don't think it's going to be top 10. And sometimes when you have a young quarterback, the defense kind of needs to be good. And it doesn't, I'm not saying it needs to be good. Obviously, if you're drafting, possibly your franchise quarterback, you might not have the best of defense. But obviously, they were in the playoffs, so they drafted him late. I'm rambling on at this point. I don't know how good this team's going to be. I still think they're going to be good. They're the Green Bay Packers for a reason. They got a really good head coach. And so, I think they'll be fine. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. But I think this team can be good. And it can surprise them. I think it could surprise some teams. But, again, new era for the Green Bay Packers. So, we'll see what happens with them. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Comment down below, what did I get right and wrong about this team? And subscribe while you're at it. And hit the notification bell if you're still waiting for your team to get talked about. And if you want to see the full preview of this team's division, go ahead. The video should be on the screen right now. Peace out.